In his book, A Fine and Pleasant Misery, Patrick F. McManus says, "Modern technology has taken most of the misery out of the outdoors. Camping is now aluminum covered, propane heated, foam padded, air conditioned, bug proofed, flip top disposable, and transistorized. Hardship on a modern camping trip is blowing a fuse on your electric underwear or having the battery peter out on your porta-shaver. A major catastrophe is spending your last coin on a recorded nature talk and then discovering the Camp Comfort and Sanitation Center has pay toilets. There are many around nowadays who seem to appreciate the fact that a family can go on an outing without being out, but I am not one of them. Personally, I miss the old-fashioned misery of old-fashioned camping. Young people just now starting out in camping probably have no idea that it wasn't but a couple of decades ago that people went camping expecting to be miserable. Half the fun of camping in those days was looking forward to getting back home. When you did get back home, you prolonged the enjoyment of your trip by telling all your friends how miserable you had been. The more you talked about the miseries of life in the woods, the more you wanted to get back out there and start suffering again. Camping was a fine and pleasant misery. Compared to camping in the past, Camp Jim is a fine and pleasant luxury. There's AC, hot showers in your cabin, bunks with mattresses, and 3 meals a day. What more could you ask for? What is that? You want to enjoy the peace and quiet of the outdoors? Well, you might do that a little, but not much with 100 kids running around. Nevertheless, I do have some tips and tricks to help you survive camp, and you might even enjoy the fine and pleasant misery of ministering the gospel to a bunch of kids. First of all, as a volunteer at Camp Jim, you are an example, so be a good example. 1 Timothy 4:12 says, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity." The first way to be an example is in your speech. Here are 3 areas of speech that you can be an example. Number 1, language. It should go without saying, but swear words should not come out of your mouths while at camp. Neither should you use negative or harsh words with campers. Our words should be edifying and filled with grace. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear." Number 2, gossip. Gossip is destructive to everyone involved. If any camper begins to gossip about another camper, put a stop to it immediately by telling the camper that we don't put others down, especially when they are not around. If a camper begins to speak poorly of someone at home, a parent or a relative, steer the conversation away from it. If a camper expresses concerning things about their home life, such as abuse or something of that nature, do not allow that to be an open conversation with the other campers. Speak with the camper away from the other campers and bring it to the camp director. Number 3, content. Sometimes campers will ask difficult questions, and that's good, but we need to give biblical answers. Be careful not to give worldly, selfish, or secular advice. If a camper asks a question you don't know the answer to, you can tell them, "I don't know. Let's ask one of the pastors." It's okay to not know everything. What's not good is giving unbiblical answers. Second, we're to be a good example in our conduct. Volunteers should be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. You should be fully present and participate in whatever activities are going on. But you don't have to go as extreme so you don't hurt yourself. While at camp, it is fun to talk and fellowship with friends, but we can't let this get in the way of responsibilities. If you're a counselor, you should always make sure you or your co-counselor is with your campers. Don't leave them to wander around on their own and fend for themselves in the cabin. Unaccompanied kids have a tendency to get themselves hurt or in trouble. It's also important to participate in what's going on. If you're joining in and having fun, the kids will follow your example. If you're disinterested, bored, or disengaged, your campers will be too. If you are on your phone scrolling through Facebook or something, they will want to do the same, but they'll just get mad because they can't have their phones with them. Volunteers are allowed to have their phones, but campers cannot use them. Also, do not show them things on your phone like YouTube or TikToks. The phone is yours and should be kept to yourself. This is best for you and them. If a camper would like to speak with a parent, they can talk to their parents through the camp director's phone. Lastly, don't let outward sins get the best of you. Things like anger, yelling, complaining, manipulating, or gossiping. If you're having trouble with your campers and need a break, let the director know. Finally, no smoking on the campground. The third way to be an example is through love, faith, and purity. I'm putting these together because they go together. Biblical love is not mushy-gushy. When the Bible tells us to love others, it is saying to be truly concerned for the good of others and truly doing good to others. We can do that by praying for our campers, listening to them, speaking truth into their lives, and helping them have a great week at camp. Our faith can be an example to the kids as well. If they see you reading your Bible, praying, and participating in worship, they will remember it and may be inclined to do the same. Finally, we are to be pure, obviously. Some of you volunteers are not much older than the campers, and that's okay. It's great to serve the Lord at a young age, but don't be a flirt. Camp is not a place to find a girlfriend or boyfriend. Also be careful not to be alone with any campers. Always try to be in a group or in a public area. 1 Timothy 4:12 says, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity." The first and most important way to be a great volunteer at Camp Jim is by being an example to the campers. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video.